Hello, welcome back to the Mr. Arsenal podcast. Let's sit back a bit here. Zoomed in for once. We are back for another live stream, Arsenal related. Obviously, as you can tell by the title, it's a Europa League last 16 draw live reaction that we are doing here today. I've just got to send a link to James. James Rowe will be joining us. And amongst all this, I have to come away for a couple of minutes because I've got deliveries late and plan everything to be so this doesn't happen, and lo and behold, it all goes to Pete Tong. Delivery doesn't turn up in time. But yeah, the Europa League's just about to get underway in terms of the program itself. They're gonna have their usual chitty chatty BS crap. I can't stand. I really cannot stand the Europa League chitty chat. Talk with one sec. Talking of which, they call me and say they're on their way. So we'll have about a few minutes time. I'm going to step away. So I do apologise, but it just it's a pain in the arse. But right. Tom that well.
Hello and welcome everyone to the
Hello, welcome to the 20 years of pointless crap we're going to talk.
live from the House of European Football.
So yeah, in terms of Arsenal, we are a seeded team. Man United are unseeded, but we cannot face Manchester United in the next round because of our we both play in the Premier League basically. We can't play each other, can't be drawn against each other anyway until the quarterfinals. Aside from that, every other unseeded team that came through last night in the playoffs, we can face. That means Juventus, we could face Sevilla, Shakhtar Donetsk, which could be interesting based on recent history of them bastards. Roma with Jose Mourinho, that could be interesting. Trying to think now. Union Berlin, and there's another one. I can't think of it. It's gone from my head. But there's six teams, barring United, that we can face. So, even though we're seeded team in one group, we've not got the easiest in one sense. In terms of you look at it, you're like, oh, Juventus, da 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 da. For me, the teams I would like to avoid, there's only two for me, over a two-legged affair, would be Sevilla and who's the other one? There's another one that's gone now. Oh, bloody hell. Roma, that's it, because Mourinho. Anyone else over two legs, bring it on, basically. But yeah, yeah. Guys, let me know in the chat who you want in the draw, though, as well. Now, I've got to go quickly, so I'll be back in a couple of minutes. There's a door back, come to my door. And the cat's going wild. Yay. 2 seconds. I shall be back as soon as I can. Sorry about that. Everything's now dealt with. We get who we get. That draw hasn't been made. It's about to be made. Jeez. Right. Get the stream back up. The draw's on BT Sport. Now. So yeah, the draw's not literally minutes away from being made. They're doing their usual chippy chat.
Containing the names of the knockout round playoff winners.
Chippy chat rubbish. But geez, while we're waiting, who do you want? Who do you prefer we get out of who we can possibly get? Personally, I want Shakhtar. I want Shakhtar Donetsk. Oh no, you start. They do the draw every few months, whatever. Every year, it's the same thing, the same format. But they feel the need to dumb it down for us every year. Let's get on with it. We know the setup. Just get the draw done. Budapest. Where is it? I missed who the player was, by the way, because they've got to pay basically UEFA. That was a Gila, former West Brom midfielder, attacker. Sultan Gila is the special guest doing this draw with UEFA today as well, because obviously the finals in Budapest. He's from Hungary. So we can get, that's it. Juventus, Sporting Lisbon, Shakhtar Donetsk, FC Union Berlin, Leverkusen, Sevilla, or AS Roma. It's not easy. Not easy at all. Let's just drag it out. Here we go. First, right. Winners on the knockout playoff. First team out is. I don't mind you, Vale. Fancy us. First team out is FC Union Berlin. They'll be home in the first leg. And they can get us along with Fenerbahce and all that jazz, apart from Freiburg. I wouldn't mind Juventus. I fancy us. The way they've been this season, I fancy us. But FC Berlin are going to be playing over 2 legs. Here we go. Union Saint-Gilloise from Belgium. Big up Green in the chat says the seeded teams are easier to play than the non-seeded. Yeah, the irony, the sheer irony behind it all. Thing is, though, Green, if we'd come second in our group, we would have had to play Sevilla last night over 2 legs, and yeah. Oh, talk the devil. Sevilla out. They're now out. Obviously knocked out PSV Eindhoven last night 3-2 on aggregate. They can get anyone apart from Real Sociedad or Betis. So again, could be us. Here we go. No, I don't think it's us. Fenerbahce. Sevilla versus Fenerbahce. It's going to be interesting. Sevilla will be hot favourites for that over 2 legs.
So we are now with Sevilla versus Fenerbahce, and we are ready to see another team. The
third draw. Here we go.
Number 3.
Juventus. So Juventus are out. And an unseeded pot.
Juventus can play against
Yeah, I did see that. The Sky covered it earlier, Mark. So Sevilla goal got attacked. De Bruyne or Jimmy De Bruyne. Oh, there you are. Of course you are. So, yeah, I saw that. As I say, I covered it on Sky. It's a bit bizarre, to say the least. Right, Juventus versus, is it going to be us? Rolling back the years in the Champions League days. Oh. Oh. Yes, Freiburg. Juventus versus Freiburg. Oh, that'd be interesting. Freiburg, European competition, their debut season, doing well.
But with a very strong record so far, unbeaten in the group stage.
Green, out of interest, who do you want in the in this draw that is left before we come out, obviously?
To be halfway through.
See now, it is Bayer Leverkusen now. Ooh, I wouldn't mind Bayer Leverkusen actually.
Now it's Bayer Leverkusen, former winners of the trophy. All five
They can get
teams
us,
can be drawn
Betis,
against.
Sociedad, Feyenoord, or the other team
It's
that
the
I
team
can't pronounce.
with the most matches of any other teams in Germany in this
Yeah.
competition. They played 53 matches in the Europa League and UEFA Cup, of course.
It'll be us. Ferencváros from Hungary.
Leverkusen versus Ferencváros.
So Leverkusen again will be hot favourites to get through that tie.
Everybody wants to be at the end of the season, so we'll now see if Ferencváros can.
Still,
make another
but
step.
neither English team has come out yet out of Arsenal and United,
But they will have a tough job
respectively.
against Leverkusen.
Sort of a theme this season. Arsenal always at the last few, one of the last few out. Here we go. It's Lisbon, isn't it? Sporting Club de Portugal, or Sporting Lisbon to most of us.
Group winners.
Again, us, Betis, Sociedad, or Feyenoord. I can get.
2005, Sporting Club. The final played in their stadium, Alvalade.
Rough. Sporting Lisbon versus Arsenal. So we are going. It's going to be a tough draw in one sense because we have played them recently as well in the Europa League. It was we beaten 1-0 just years ago, the United season. 1-0 at their place, 0-0 at ours in the group stages. Oh, talk to the Devil, Man United are out next. So it'll be interesting to see what they can get. But you know what? I take it. I would have taken that draw. They're one of the teams I would have taken. We can sort of not go full strength in that tie. They're away from home in the first leg, home second leg's at home. So, well, hey, come on. Oh, Manchester United got Real Betis, and Man United at home first leg, away to Betis in the second. That's going to be a toughie. Morning, Gary. How you doing, my friend? I don't know if you just tuned in time, but Arsenal have been drawn against Sporting Lisbon in the Europa League last 16 draw. And James will be coming up. James Wright will be coming on very soon to give his reaction, not just to our draw, but all the draws as well. Roma versus Sociedad or Feyenoord.
Roma can be drawn against one of the two remaining group winners, Real Sociedad or Feyenoord.
I wanted Shakhtar Donetsk. Not really.
Real
Sociedad versus
Roma
Roma. That's going to be a hard one to call.
So Feyenoord is still in the bowl, but let's see now, just to make sure that we have done everything correctly.
So this should be Shakhtar Donetsk.
Shakhtar Donetsk, obviously, and Shakhtar Donetsk will face the last team left.
Oh, there's Edu.
Which is
Edu.
Feyenoord.
Smile, mate. Feyenoord.
This trophy. With this, we have everything we need to know. All the 8 matches, Pedro.
I mean, again, last night in one of the group chats, I said the two teams I wanted to avoid in terms of Roma because of Mourinho and Sevilla because of their history in this competition. Over 2 legs. Don't want it too early. But apart from that, yeah, I wanted Shakhtar just because of what they did to us throwing us under the bus in January the way they did. I'd have rather us get Shakhtar, but we didn't get them. I'm happy with Sporting. We go to Lisbon first. We're at home in the second leg. Can't really complain on that, really. Could have been a lot worse, let's be honest. Look at the teams that we could have had. One of my best friends is a Sporting season ticket holder who is a personal friends with the Sporting chairman. I think I'll give him a ring to get tickets to both games. Oh dear. You get time off as well to go over there as well and get back. Is that it? There's no way they've just gone, that's it, boy. I think they have as well. So now we just wait for James. He'll be on as soon as he can, just for a quick 10-15 minutes, go over the draw of all the teams and then focus on our game and our draw as well. Just make sure he knows. Got to check in one of the group chats from in as well. Yeah, a couple of people already responded to the draw and they're happy with it so far. A good indicator about the draw. Twitter's not going mental. They're not losing their minds just yet. Bear with me a second. Yeah, in a few minutes. James will be with us in a few minutes. So far, bear with me. Ugh, bloody nose. Ugh, right. Also, whilst we're waiting for James, actually, I've got to give you some breaking news. Arsenal non-related. Just breaking, Miguel Almiron has signed a new 3.5-year contract with Newcastle. Just breaking as well, so that's massive boost within the club and the community of Newcastle ahead of Sunday's final, which we will be covering here on the channel. Be shattered, but we're doing it. The only thing I'll be disappointed in for both games, and they are mental. Yeah, I remember when we had them in the Europa League group stage in Emery's season. The season we got to the final with. And yeah, they are absolutely bonkers. But then so is the Rens fans were bonkers that year as well. But I have to say, in terms of the Europa League, when we've been hosting, we've been the host team in the group stages or knockout rounds. The 9 times out of 10, whilst my head being chopped off, 9 times out of 10, the away fans actually do they do turn up. They do make a thing of it, and they've added massively to the atmosphere in years gone by. I remember what was it again in Emery's the second season under Emery before he just the day before it turned out to be his last game. We played Frankfurt in the group stages. Obviously, and it was all we don't know what happened there. It's a build up to it, and then the game itself. I'm trying to think now because Frankfurt fans, because there's something that happened, hasn't there? And Frankfurt fans have been banned from coming to this game. I think was it? No, it wasn't actually. No, that's another game I think about now. But either way, the Frankfurt fans haven't filled up their away allocation already. because of everything that was going on at Arsenal at the time and in Miami that second season, pretty much every fan that had a ticket for that match against Frankfurt at the Emirates didn't bother going, and was just selling off their tickets online to basically literally for anyone. It turned out to be Frankfurt fans. So when Frankfurt scored their first and second goals respectively, it all kicked off because of the club level.
Do you want a drink?
Please, yeah, sorry.
What do you want?
Tea, please. Seems to be. That doesn't seem to set me off, unlike coffee for some reason. Oh dear. So yeah, just wait for James to pop in and then it should be any minute now, guys. So I do apologise for the delay, but yeah, he has confirmed he will be with us any moment now. I'll touch it while we wait for James to pop in quickly. I'll touch it as well. But obviously, not the breaking news yesterday was Bukayo Saka verbally agreed to extend his time at Arsenal to 2028. It just now needs to be officially done and dusted by the club, and then they'll confirm it. Like, it's pretty much like they did with Martinelli, Ornstein, for Fabrizio Romano. They've put it out there weeks in advance. 3 or 4 weeks down the line, it gets officially confirmed. So Arsenal, I don't know who's leaking this information to Ornstein and Fabrizio, because Arsenal must be like, shut the fuck up, basically. Let's just do it our way. But no, their hands gets forced in that sense. But it's good to know that it's been made clear, especially by Fabrizio, that Saka didn't want to leave anyway. He wanted to stay. He wanted to extend his stay and all that malarkey. So it's good. It's good to know. Obviously, when the position we're in, it'd be concerned if he wasn't wanting to stay. We just now need to get that sorted, and there's Saliba. Just as I say that, it has been James in. Hi, James, how you doing? What do you think of the draw in the end?
Well, first and foremost, Ryan, great to speak to you again. Nice to speak to everybody after what's been a while. Busy
few months.
And delighted to be back again. My first thoughts, if I was a betting man, I wouldn't know what to do. I'd have to think long and hard about every single game. And it's a real finely balanced draw. It really is. And I think it's very exciting. I think who we've got as well, we mustn't underestimate them. This is not the Sporting Lisbon that we drew 0-0 with in November 2018. I believe we were both there for that game. And then the 1-0 in Lisbon.
Yeah, Danny Welbeck scored a goal.
I believe it was. They may well be fourth in Portugal, but they've got some good players. Pedro Gonçalves, Marcus Edwards, Yeri St. Just, and a good manager in Amorim. Although I've watched them a couple of times, Ryan, and they are beatable. They are beatable. You know, they're not running away with the Portuguese league. I watched the game at home, Sporting at home to FC Porto when I got back from Ajax Ekose Valbak 2 weeks ago. And they struggled. They really struggled against Porto. I believe they lost 2-1. And we've got a great chance, but we've got to take him seriously. You know, there's no, we can't go thinking, we can change our team around. And, Hector Bellerin will also be back, eligible to play as well. Yeah, and it's just, it's a great opportunity for our fans to really try to push us on and try to reach that quarterfinal, because as we said in voicemail messages, I've been on your channel talking about European football and Arsenal for many, many years. And I remember when we first started, I think it was that we were just entering the Europa League, and it was like, it's not the Champions League, it's the Europa League. And we've had so many chances to win it. Let's hope now that we can push on, because if you look at the other ties as well, Ryan, some good teams are going to get knocked out. So we've got an opportunity here, and let's hope over 2 legs that we can take it.
Well, one of them teams is going to be either Man United or Real Betis. That's not well. Yeah, Betis, wasn't it? They got.
Yeah, I will stick my neck out and say that Betis will knock them out.
Yeah.
I will stick my neck out and say that Real Betis will knock them out.
I watched the game last night between Man United and Barca, the second leg last night, and they didn't. I know they've got a final on Sunday to keep an eye on, but they didn't exactly pull up trees last night.
No.
And Barca, they weren't exactly testing them.
No, and also as well, Ryan, the comments from Xabi, we hope to gain European honours next season. Well, okay, your arch rivals are going for a 15th Champions League. What do you think about that? Your arch rivals who you can't stand, who are everything that's wrong with modern football, and they are whiter than white by their own admission, their arch rivals are going for a 15th. So, I mean, I surprised many friends and many colleagues by predicting that United would beat Barcelona over 2 legs. And the people saying, "Oh no, Barcelona will put them away." I said, "No, over 2 legs." You know, because this is something that people forget. It's not one game of football. It's 2 90-minute games plus potential extra time. And I think it's going to be really interesting. I think Fenerbahce as well. I think a couple of people are sleeping on them.
Yeah.
And Feyenoord as well. Lots of people will probably ask why Arne Slot didn't go to Leeds. It was a combination of him wanting to stay, Feyenoord not receiving enough compensation from Leeds. And what you also have to remember, as good as he is, and he is a very good manager, he was sacked by his previous job at AZ Alkmaar, Ryan, because Feyenoord came in for him and he didn't tell AZ Alkmaar. So when they found out about the approach, they sacked him on the basis of that. You know, if he'd have only said to AZ Alkmaar, "I've been approached by Feyenoord, do I have permission to speak to them? What's the best way to deal with this?" But he didn't, and he was sacked, and he was eventually appointed Feyenoord manager. There's rumours that he could become Ajax manager in the summer, although that's still not known. And I think Feyenoord, I think they'll win the Eredivisie because they're the most settled team. You know, Ruud van Nistelrooy is still in his first proper season, and you saw last night, you know, with coming back against Sevilla, and Heitinga is now in charge of Ajax. Some Ajax fans want to give him the opportunity, but it's for that to be your first proper club and first proper job. Yeah. It's not an easy job to have. It's not, especially as your first one. You got to build towards it, really. So be very interesting to see what happens.
Yeah, like you say, Ajax has obviously they lost Ten Hag in the summer. The replacement didn't work out. Yeah. They went on a 4-game winless run against teams they should be beating normally. Got rid of him. I was then surprised that he was linked to the Leeds job straight not long afterwards because of how things had gone with Ajax. And then, obviously, as you say, Heitinga's got the job until the end of the season, possibly.
Yeah, end of the season, They're obviously 3 points behind and 12 games to go here. But in the case of Alfred Schroeder, he's a great assistant, superb assistant. But there's so many that think, I can make that jump. And, you know, what people have to remember, Ryan, is that when you're an assistant, it's not just putting the cones out and giving out the bibs and, you know, making a few notes. You have to provoke your manager into a different way of thinking. If you don't do it, you're not helping him. And if you don't help him, you leave him on his own. So I think with Alfred Schroeder, a great assistant, but I was at the game at Volendam where he was sacked afterwards. I was at that game. Yeah. And after 5 minutes, the white handkerchiefs were out, which I'd never seen here in all my years. I've been here 17 years in May in total, and going regularly. Never saw anything like that. Never seen white handkerchiefs and that kind of thing. I've seen programs they don't do programs at Ajax anymore, but I've seen programs use as paper planes towards the pitch. I've seen people running up and down the stairwells. I've seen people going bananas, but I've never seen white handkerchiefs in some of the songs that they were singing, which literally translated to off. You know, after 5 minutes, it wasn't great, and it was also Volendam are also very industrious, Ryan. But it was also weird to see the team that are nicknamed the Other Orange, on the Oranje, to see them playing in mauve. It was really, it's like a fashion show. I mean, I spoke about Arsenal away kits, all the colours of the rainbow, like Skittles, as if, we haven't had mauve this year, we've got to have mauve. Just stick with yellow and blue trim. That's all you got to do. It's the same with home. Just stick with red and white. But
we've said this many a time. Stick with the home and away. Stick with the traditional colours.
Yeah.
For our case, red and white home, yellow and blue trim away.
Exactly.
Third kit, go mental. Do what you want.
Yeah, but even then, they're like. I'm not that young, but I'm also not that old. But I stopped buying shirts all 15 seasons ago now.
Yeah.
And for me, a program is enough. A program and a match day ticket is enough for me. That's enough. And you see about the commercialism. Even with the working together with Transport for London, where they try, the inside of the tube. It's to make socks out of them and sweaters out of them. To match the inside of the tube and the upholstery and stuff like that. But I suppose it's very much a sign of the times. I mean, as I've said many times, Ryan, you walk around Amsterdam, all you see is Paris Saint-Germain, Manchester City, Barcelona. That's what you see.
Yeah.
And there's only one club in this city. Obviously, I'm not expecting to see any final shirts because people would take their lives in their own hands. But I also remember when I moved house. I mean, I used to live in I've lived in the city centre. I've lived on the outer edges. I now live opposite in the vicinity of the football stadium of Ajax. But I remember when I was moving house, and I kid you not, Ryan, I was on the outer edges of Amsterdam, moving to where I live now.
Yeah.
And it was a couple of days after the Tottenham win against Ajax in the Champions League. And I'd see all of a sudden a spurt of people in Spurs shirts in the metro. You can understand in the city centre, but not in the outer edges, not where local people live, for example. And I went up to a couple and I said, "Are you from North London? Are you from Middlesex?" No. But so it just goes to show how people kind of jump on the bandwagon. It's like a bit of a fashion show, really. Like Napoli, for example. Everybody's banging the drum for Napoli. Do you remember Michael Lum, the Danish left back who used to play for St. Petersburg?
Yeah.
I interviewed him for a couple of years ago now, and he was telling me, James, Spalletti would have fist fights in training with his players. That's not a good recipe, is it? See, you might be 18 points clear, but in any walk of life, whether you work in a distribution centre or a solicitor's office or the local council, if you manhandle your fellow colleague, you're in big trouble.
Yeah.
And I just think with Spalletti, I think people are kind of getting a bit carried away, but they won't win the Champions League. It's like hipsters choosing the team. Oh, this will be the one. This will be the chosen one. No, they might win Serie A after the 50th time of trying, maybe, but they won't win the Champions League. And I mean, Cremonese knocked them out of the Coppa Italia. They were bottom of the league.
Oh God.
Yeah.
God.
So it just goes to show you never know. And I think with the European Games, we're in for a massive topsy-turvy time. But I just hope that we go through, because if we get knocked out, I shall be bitterly disappointed, because yes, we're going for a title, but it's so important. People talk about Champions League. We haven't been in it since 2017, if I believe, and you can't go from Europa League getting knocked out by Olympiacos, struggling against Östersunds, knocked out by Atletico, not beating Sporting, struggling against Rennes, only winning 1-0 against Zurich, Bodo Glimt holding their own for the first, what was it? I think it was they had chances. We took our foot off the brake against Bodo Glimt.
Struggled against
You can't-
Villarreal as well.
Yeah. Well, against a better team in the second half, they would have come back. And I just think as well, you can't go from that kind of, mixing it with those teams to thinking, we're in the Champions League now. Because the thing for me, we've never won it. And next year is our last chance to win it. Because the year after, Ryan, the year after it goes to a Super League in everything but name. So everything changes. So whoever wins the first edition of the 36-team Champions League, it's not the same. Might be the same cup, but it's not the same dynamic. So no, it's not.
No,
So
it's going to be weird, and especially in terms of the Europa League. Was it last season or the first season, the inaugural season of the Conference League, the inaugural season where they introduced these playoffs, which for me, last season, this season haven't had the same feel. It just it feels like another game sort of thing.
Yeah.
It's just, even last night, I was like, after the United game, I switched over to the Red Shakhtar game. Again, it didn't feel like a proper European night game. It's just like, like a glorified, even though there's stakes at thing, it's just like a glorified friendly, basically.
Yeah.
In all game. And it's just like, so, and with this new format coming in, as you say, the Super League all but name after next season, what they're going to do to the Europa League then? Because they're going to go down that same route of them eventually, and the Conference League. Then you got all the what happens, because I don't understand in terms of, because I think it's two after next season. It's two separate leagues effectively. Yeah. But how many go through from each half to the knockouts? It's like five each side or something like that.
Well, what I would do first and foremost, just see where we end up this season, and enjoy
the whole format, because we've had this. We've had this discussion of the Champions League teams that get dropped into Europa. We don't never agreed with this. How the hell is it going to work out, this new format?
Well, also as well, it's participation tinged with ignorance as well.
Yes.
I mean, I remember my very first Arsenal Champions League game. It was Arsenal against Dynamo Kiev in, I believe, October '99. And we drew 1-1. It was Dennis Bergkamp scored for us, and I believe Shevchenko scored for Dynamo Kiev. I remember the programme of looking at the teams in it, and I believe, if memory serves me rightly, PSV, Sturm Graz, Real Madrid, and I remember being at Wembley, and I remember an older gentleman literally, in awe of this is Champions League, and I was 16, and I wasn't rude or anything, but I tried to say to him, "We are in this to win it. It's not a day out. We are in it to win it." Yeah. And I used to prioritise European games from Amsterdam, and still do, but of course now being selective because you want to give other fans an opportunity. And I remember the Champions League was just, the impression I got was it's not Real Madrid or Barcelona, so therefore the rest are all pub teams. I shall never forget when I was outside the turnstile going into Arsenal Monaco in 2015, and I was in the queue, and I heard the guy behind me say to his mate, "Oh, we'll batter this lot 4-0 tonight." Monaco, and I turned to him, I said, "Excuse me," I said, "you do realise that this Monaco side has topped the group with Bayer Leverkusen, Zenit St. Petersburg and Benfica." I said, "You've got to be a good side to top that group." I said, "I think we'll win tonight, but we certainly won't win 4-0. We lost 3-1. And when that third goal went in, the whole of the clock ends out the door. I was literally, there was me and another guy at the front behind the goal, and all around us were empty seats because people just, the third goal, bang, away you go. But you don't go to the cinema and leave 5 minutes before the end of the film, do you?
No, of course not.
No, you don't. And also coming from afar, you know, I'm in such a privileged position through the years, which I know is not going to last forever going to Arsenal games. But it's, you know, win, lose or draw, doesn't matter. I mean, it's like the draw today. I've been fortunate to see Sporting Lisbon at the Emirates play Arsenal. So somebody else on the 16th of May will get that opportunity. The 16th of March, sorry.
March, yeah, just confirm.
Yeah, because I've done it, and I don't live around the corner, but you also want to give something back to your fellow fan. It's you know, something which is very important. And, as I say, we'll just see how things go.
No, exactly. No, I mean, I mentioned Rennes earlier. I mean, because they were one of your 3 teams to look out for this.
Yeah.
When they went to extra time, I switched over to that game. When they went 1-0 up within 40 odd seconds of the second half getting underway.
Yeah.
I thought that was it. Second half of extra time, they've got the goal. Shakhtar was just going, but somehow Shakhtar found a way, took it to the pens and knocked them out. And but the other 2 teams you mentioned are still in it. Freiburg are still in it. They're doing well this season. Another debut. I was trying to remember.
I also back Sociedad and Betis.
Sociedad, that was it. Sociedad are still in it. Union Berlin.
Yeah, well, just to let people know, obviously, because it's nice to give little anecdotes. And I wasn't at the game here in Amsterdam against Union Berlin. I couldn't get a ticket, and even though I live in the vicinity, but I remember coming home from running a few errands, and Union Berlin fans everywhere, and even the stickers they were literally covering the metro station and the metro with stickers. And normally, when it's a game day here, normally you can walk down the steps of the station which leads to the stadium. Well, there's 2 of them, but the more residential one, which is where I live, normally you can walk down without any trouble at all. As I've got out of the metro and started to walk down the steps, there's police coming up with batons and shields, and I'm like, what's going on here? But obviously with the rivalry between the Netherlands and Germany, you know, and that kind of thing. But Union Berlin have got some good players. Knock is a good player. Geraldo Becker is a brilliant footballer. You know, they've got some very, very good players and a manager who is also very clever. I think in terms of Freiburg, delighted for Mark Flecken to be able to pit his wits against Juventus and Di Maria. Hoping he has a great game, because you know what happened to him at the World Cup, and he did so well to keep it within him. You know, the only quotes that have come out from him was, you know, I wasn't disappointed, I was angry, because he had a great opportunity to become the number 1. I mean, I'd interviewed both him and Andries Noppert in the past. Both are fantastic goalkeepers. But even with the World Cup here, Van Gaal, it was like, you know, we're going to become world champion. This is a great chance. But I was saying to colleagues and friends, Ryan, as well, that to call one manager back 3 times in a period of 20 years it smacks a little bit of desperation. And with Koeman now, he's got a really rock hard Euro 2024 qualifying group with away days in Paris, in Athens, and Dublin, and I don't think he's going to make it. And
you don't think Netherlands are going to make it through?
No, I don't. I don't think they'll get out of that group. And I hope I'm wrong, of course, but I think it's the away days in particular that will be their undoing. You know, to go to an informed Greece side who have improved. It's never easy to win in Dublin, is it? And France being France in Paris, I think those particular away days will prove a bridge too far.
Okay. I just found it bizarre that of all the people they went back to, in terms of after Van Gaal, obviously he's had to stop cycle with his health, that they went back to Ronald Koeman, because obviously with him, famously, he was the manager.
Yeah.
And then Barcelona came calling, and he went, okay, bye-bye. It didn't work out. And obviously now he's like, cap in hands, take me back. And I
Yeah,
don't,
and
I
it's
don't know. I don't know. It could rub off, especially especially with certain players that's still in the setup of the national team. I don't,
yeah,
what sort of taste that's leaving their mouth, thinking, well, when you was building something with us and it was going good,
yeah,
you left us high and dry.
yeah.
Now you want back in.
Well, he's wanted that job ever since he's become a manager, Ryan. He started
Mm.
out at Vitesse and he took the job at Valencia. And I'll never forget. I mean, obviously, we didn't have iPhones and YouTube as prominence back then. But I remember reading the quotes from the press conference where he said, "Oh, this is a great to become Valencia manager is a great stepping stone to become Barcelona manager. If I'm your chairman or president, I sack you on the spot.
Yeah,
I sack you on the spot. I cut him off and say, I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen. There's been a grave error here. We've got some decisions to make, and we'll have another press conference at a later date. But what you also have to remember, there's a bit of a nasty streak in him, Ryan. I mean, do you remember Michael Ball, who played for Everton?
yeah,
Yeah, he played for PSV, and I interviewed him, and Michael Ball said to me, James, my surgeon told me if I train on AstroTurf, I'm risking my career. So Michael Ball told Ronald Koeman, because obviously there are certain teams in the area of visit that still play on AstroTurf. So PSV on their training complex have a pitch of AstroTurf. And rather than accommodate Michael Ball, he banned him from the squad and made him train on his own, where Michael Ball received more support from Jan Wouters than what he did Koeman. So there's a bit of a nasty streak in him. And also as well, the way that, this country is still extremely liberal, extremely. But the way pockets of the media are, we need a foreign coach. We need to have an Arsene Wenger or a Pep Guardiola. But I said to colleagues and friends, I said, you wouldn't have a foreign prime minister, would you? Oh, no. And the response is, no, you wouldn't. I said, well, why'd you have a foreign manager then? I said, I tried to give the example. You imagine a young girl or boy in Utrecht, in Rotterdam, Eindhoven, Enschede, Amsterdam, wanting to know more about their national team and following YouTube clips and wanting to know more, and then having the manager speaking in English and not in Dutch. Maybe they don't understand. And so you think, you're supposed to inspire the next generation. I mean, I would have liked to have seen Henk ten Cate given an opportunity, because he's a very clever man and very underrated. Played a massive part in Barcelona's success in 2006. And even Ron Jans, I mean, he's leaving FC Twente at the end of the season, struggled at Standard Liège, but why not give him a go as well? There's more, as they say in Dutch, there's more than one way that leads to Rome. But of course, it's very splintered. So it'll be very interesting to see what happens.
no, exactly. Just before we go on, look at because we always say, but we've always said on this channel between us, obviously, in terms of the finalists itself, there's always that one team you don't expect. Last year we got two in terms of Rangers and Frankfurt. We didn't expect them both. Who's your outsider to get to the final, and who do you think will more likely win this? Now the draw's been made and how it's set out.
Well, I think I'm going to stick with my gut instinct and say I believe that one of Sociedad or Betis will reach the final. I believe that one of them will reach the final and potentially win it. In terms of Arsenal, I'd like to think that we will maybe be that opponent. I think a lot of people are sleeping on Fenerbahce because, of course, fresh in the memory is the playoff round. But you've got to remember the teams that are now playing won their group. So it's going to be very interesting. I'll stick with one of Real Betis or Real Sociedad. But then again, they could both get through and be drawn with one another in the quarterfinals.
That is the thing, yeah.
Yeah, so we'll have
a more... United next if they get through.
Yeah, well, you always want a European tie, though, didn't you? You always want it's like the memories through the years. I mean, I'll just touch on a couple. I remember my last ever game at Highbury was in March 2004 against Celta Vigo, and I went to the Gunners pub, and I met a group of Celta Vigo fans. I couldn't speak Spanish back then, so I was like, just speaking in English. And I remember one of them was really well built, and he says to me, "What do you think about Silvinho?" I said, "Yeah, he's a brilliant player." And I was chatting to one of the guys. His name was Juan, quite
Yeah.
John in English, if you like. And I said to him, I said, "Where do you live?" He said, "Oh, I live in Madrid." And I said, "When do you go home?" And he said, "Oh, we return home tomorrow morning." The following morning was the Madrid bombing attacks. So I never know. I never knew if he got home. I mean, obviously, I'll never know. But it's just, it's weird, the things that stick with you. I mean, I remember the Monaco game, and I mean, my French isn't half as good as what it was, but I remember, coming out and congratulating the Monaco fans, and saying to them how good is Abdenor, he's a brilliant footballer. And even with the Bayern Munich game, because when you're next to the away fans, they don't want you mixing with him, but you can also have a laugh with them. I mean, when the final whistle went, I went to shake the hand of the Bayern fan who was the other side of the the block, and the steward's gone a little bit like, "Oh, what are you going to do?" I said, "Well, I'm going to I'm going to shake his hand and say I hope they go on to win the thing, because they're a brilliant football team." So you think of the memories that you've got like that, and in terms of Sporting Lisbon, I can't repeat what was said behind me, because if you remember, no, you have to remain professional. I think I might write it on our WhatsApp chat, maybe, who knows. But do you remember with Sporting Lisbon in 2018, Ryan? I think we brought our tickets, and then we was moved because they extended the
they extended the away in, didn't they?
Yeah, because I got my ticket. Yeah, I got my ticket. I'm normally behind the goal to the right a little bit, and then I got another email from Arsenal saying I'd been moved, and because they extended that block and there were so many of them, Nani was playing, and Jeremy Mature got sent off, who used to play for Barcelona. Yeah. So I think it'll be raucous against Sporting, but I should be watching it on TV and continuing to save for I don't know, potentially Real Sociedad or Real Betis.
Yeah, but thanks for reminding me, because in terms of Bellerin, I completely forgot out of my memory that he literally, because obviously he just joined Barcelona back in the summer.
Yeah.
So was it a loan deal in the end, or was it he completely joined Lisbon?
I believe he's completely joined. I think he's eligible to play. I think he's eligible to play in the game. They've got Marcus Edwards as well, who used to play came for the youth set up at Tottenham. They've got some. They're not in form, but we've got.
They were Tottenham's group, weren't they? They were Sporting Lisbon was in Tottenham's Champions League group, and they beat Tottenham away.
Yeah.
1 or 2 there, something like that. Either way, they beat them, and they almost beat them at the toilet bowl. We
will have to be on our A game, and we will.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Have to work hard, but I think over 2 legs, with the second leg being at home, we've got to look to do it. We've got to look to do it. I think over 2 legs, I think we've got a great chance, but we've got to apply ourselves properly.
Yeah, just quickly before we go, let's double check who we've got in between the two legs. So it's like the 9th of March, and then the week later.
Fulham and Bournemouth, I think, or Bournemouth and Fulham.
Leicester City this weekend, got Everton, Bournemouth on the 4th. So then we've got the first leg, then Fulham. And then the second leg, so Fulham in between. So really, that's sort of who got in between league-wise. It's on a Sunday, obviously, at 2:00. It's going to be interesting how Arteta works that around then, because we ain't got to travel far even in terms of Lisbon itself for the first leg.
No, but it's I believe. Well, I know from Amsterdam, Lisbon is, I think, a 3-hour flight. Not sure what it is from the UK.
But I'm saying this is not this is not Hungary, like the opponent, the team that That's it. I'm hungry. At least we didn't get them. My point, like fatigue wise and all that.
Well, yeah, for us, I think that's going to be if they get through, that'll be a tasty one. If we get through and play them, that'll be very tasty.
Yeah,
And then just to give Arsenal fans a bit of a heads up, it's not just about football, but it's also about travel as well. And if I can help people, I will. In terms of Sporting Lisbon, having been there myself, for Arsenal fans going for the first time, I believe you can get the green metro line to the station called Campo Grande, because you see the José Alvalade metro stop and you think that the stadium is there, but the actual stadium is Campo Grande, and there's a huge Lidl underneath the stadium, like a shopping centre, and there's a metro station opposite. So it's a nice stadium. I went there when they had all the colour coded seats. Now it's all green, of course, but I went there in September 2019 to watch Sporting Lisbon against Rio Ave, and they lost 2-1, and they were having protests, and it's just that and a completely different time. But for the Arsenal fans going to Lisbon, I hope they have a great time. And Portuguese cuisine is top notch. You'll have a wonderful time. And as I say, if I can pass on my knowledge of the city and where you need to go, then if I can help, I will.
yeah. Like you did, you have done this already this season in terms of when the group stages. Who did we play in the group stage? I can't remember who it was now.
PSV,
PSV, that
Bodo
would be
Glimt,
PSV, because
and
obviously your connections with obviously PSV at home with Ajax and all that. Yeah,
yeah, no, it was
how
it
to look
was
out and basically.
yeah, it was brilliant. It was brilliant to. It's quite common in the Netherlands to get to go and sit on a terrace and have a beer. So, of course, I'm sitting with a couple of gooners, and the waiter comes round, and the waiter says to me, he starts speaking in English and says, "Oh, just to let you know, you're all going to be getting plastic glasses for your beer." So I said to him in his mother tongue in Dutch, I said, "Is it just because it's us, or did you do the same for Bodo Glimt and FC Zurich?" No, he was so surprised he almost dropped his tray. But obviously, he didn't expect someone who was chatting with in a London accent with gooners to all of a sudden be speaking Dutch to him. But I live here, of course.
Yeah.
And then when you go to PSV, you have to go into a separate entrance where you go up to a tunnel. You go up through a tunnel. And when we got to the turnstile, I had to hand over my ticket. And of course, I wasn't expecting a Dutch-speaking person in an English way end. But I was explaining to every steward who I come across, so that they didn't think I was a PSV fan. Just in a professional sense, hello, my name's James. I'm originally from London, but I live in Amsterdam, so I've come down for the game. Oh no, that's absolutely fine. Thank you very much. And I remember when, you also had to be searched, and so I was searched, and I was chatting to the lady that was doing it, and she said, "Oh, if you go up to the left, you can get a free wristband for free travel back to Amsterdam." So I have a discount with the train. So my return journey from Amsterdam to Eindhoven cost me about a tenner.
Whereas League Judges got lost.
Yeah, no, as I say, well, in terms of, I had contact with Lee, and I even said, look, we have a spare room if you need it. And he was saying, James, he said, if I was coming on my own, I'd have took you up on it. He said, but we was coming with a group. I never got to see him, unfortunately, but I did say if you got stuck, to let me know. But hopefully I'll see him soon. And if we end up with a final the way in a potential quarter final, then I'm sure we'll put that right. But in terms of final, I daren't say to anyone where I live, because they'll have my guts for garters. So I'll have to be. If we end up playing Feyenoord in the Kuip, in the tub as it's translated into, then I'm going to have to be extremely stealth, and I'm going to have to think of some couple of James Bond things to get in and out still alive.
Yeah. I can't look at it. Oh, it's coming across the screen now. Who did Feyenoord get in the Europa League?
Shakhtar.
Shakhtar Donetsk. It's Shakhtar Donetsk.
Yeah, second
That's
leg at home.
high.
I think I have enough. They're doing very well. So yeah, maybe a quarter final where, I have to say to people, hello, my name's James. I live in Almere, which is half an hour from Amsterdam. But I'm not going to say the real one, because the rivalry between Amsterdam and Rotterdam is just absolutely unreal.
Yeah,
I mean, what is absolutely unbelievable, Ryan, is the last game where both sets of fans in Amsterdam were in attendance was August 2005. Since then,
yeah,
every game in Rotterdam has only had the home fans, and every game in Amsterdam has only had the home fans. So I got in right at the last knock-ins. But I was saying to a couple of colleagues and friends that they've got to sort it out, because you can't have the flagship game of the Netherlands where both fans are not in attendance for almost 2 decades. But the massive thing they're worried about is knife crime with such a fixture.
yeah.
I'm not saying that knife crime has grown in the Netherlands. I'm sure that all European countries have their problems, but with that particular fixture, they are worried about knife crime. So that's why they are
Yeah.
they are still having only home fans in attendance in Amsterdam and in Rotterdam for when Ajax play Feyenoord and when Feyenoord play Ajax.
Yeah, I get. Yeah, so from that perspective, you sort of get what they're doing, what they're doing. But it must be, even now, what we say, nearly 2 decades on.
Yeah,
It must be weird though for them games. Just having
it
the
is.
home fans. There's no that the atmosphere is not what it could be. But obviously,
No,
safety of others comes first, above that. So.
no, and I'll give a quick anecdote. I at the time when I went to Ajax Feyenoord, I'd only been living here, I think 5 months, 6 months. I'd been living here, and I was working. And my colleague said to me, "James, I wouldn't go if I was you." And I said, "No, I was 21, a little bit brash, you know." And I remember saying to him, I said, "Listen, I've survived Upton Park. I can survive anything." And
Yeah.
and it was all right. It was all right. I went in neutral clothing. I'd never seen a partition wall so big in my life. I come out of the metro station. I've gone around the other end of the stadium, because obviously when you first arrive, you're just finding your bearings. I'd
Yeah.
never seen a partition wall as big. It was like a mountain. It's like a partition, and then surrounded by coppers, and just unreal. But as I say, you can understand. But I mean, can you imagine Arsenal Spurs with no fans in attendance? Both.
It'd feel weird.
Yeah, exactly. But as I say, here they're going to have to get to a point where they get around the table. But it's the local mayors and the police who don't really want to do it. But at some point, one of the mayors of one of the two cities is going to have to take the plunge and say, right, what can we do here? Even if it's allowing 10% of an allocation.
Yeah.
And
Build
then
it up slowly, sort of thing. Yeah.
Build up slowly. But as I say, it's something to think about. But but looking forward to speaking more in depth about Sporting before the first leg and in between the second as well. And as I say, I won't be going, Ryan, but I'll be more than happy to more in depth. Maybe the Monday or Tuesday in the week leading up to the game, perhaps.
Yeah, definitely. We'll sort that out in a sec. We'll get off now. We'll sort that out. In terms of the date, because the first 9th, so the 9th of March. So what?
Yeah, and the 16th.
The 16th. So I've got the calendar up there. 1 sec. So that's either 7th or 8th and 14th or 15th.
Yeah.
Basically.
We'll work it out. We'll work it out all in due course. And it's been really great to speak to you this afternoon. I hope everybody's enjoyed it, and looking forward to speaking either side of the games against Sporting.
Yeah, absolutely, no problem. And again, thanks for your time and all that, and appreciate that, and giving more in depth about all the other opponents that are in the Europa League as well, especially the new faces that I've probably heard of and probably underestimated like they did in Monaco all them years ago.
Monaco look a pale imitation. They do. I mean, I mentioned the Monaco game here. I mentioned the Monaco game in 2015 that I went to.
Yeah.
Subasic, Kondogbia, Berbatov, Carrasco,
Mbappe,
and now it's a little bit of a pale imitation. So I'm not surprised that Bayer Leverkusen knocked them out. I'm not surprised. And in terms of Rennes, said it before, Ryan, but I'll say it again. I think it's the latest craze, if you like, is for some managers to prove how much of a smart aleck they are.
Yeah.
There's no need. There's no need. Do you think that Ferguson, Clough, Wenger, do you think they had a personal crusade to show how smart they were? No, they just did their job properly.
Yeah.
And I just think with the team, with chopping and changing teams. I mean, one thing I've got to say before I go, the behaviour of Arteta on the technical area, there's no need for it. All this micromanagement and going potty. It's not, it's like the goal that led to Kevin De Bruyne's goal. Tommy Asu is in two minds because he's got his manager in his ear hole. If you don't trust him to do his job, don't pick him. And trust him to do his job. And I just, as I say, my first ever Arsenal manager was George Graham. You wouldn't catch George Graham doing that. You wouldn't catch Arsene Wenger doing that. You wouldn't catch Emery doing that. So there's no need for it. I think it's showing the pressure that he's under, but how important it's trophy this season.
Yeah, and also we have to sort of take on as well that the bulk of his coaching learnings have come from Pep, who does the exact same thing at times in terms of he'll change the team unnecessarily. He'll drop players he doesn't need to drop, and he'll just be on the sidelines barking orders constantly, and this, that, and the other. And that's what I'm saying. He's learned, he's picked up certain things, bad habits as well.
Yeah,
have rubbed off with him. But he's getting flat because he's at Arsenal.
No, but I fully agree. I think you make a great point about bad habits, but you can't copy managers. You have to be your own man. And people forget as well. Guardiola got the majority of his ideas from Johan Cruyff. Johan Cruyff got the majority of his ideas from Milius Michels. So one adapts to the other. This isn't, one kind of evolves into the other kind of thing. There's more than one way to
play the game.
There's more than one way that lead to Rome. And we've got to try to win a European trophy. We've got to win a trophy this year, because as good as Bukayo Saka are, as good as Martin Odegaard is, as good as they both are as players, they want to win things. So let's hope
not just domestically either.
Yeah, sorry?
I said, and not just domestically either. They'll want to win big European trophies.
Because for all our promise this year, if we end up empty-handed, it's be bitterly disappointing. Yeah,
to say the least. Yeah, the way we've been playing this season, we don't deserve to not win anything, but it could happen. But touch wood.
Yeah, let's hope we can be confident about it. And then I've really enjoyed today, Ryan, and great to be on and speak to everybody again. And we'll speak the week leading up to Sporting Arsenal in Lisbon.
Yeah, definitely. And thanks again, and everyone in the chat. Thanks as well for coming along, keeping us all involved as well in the chat. I will be back tomorrow for the Arsenal-Leicester game. Or Leicester v Arsenal, technically, because we're away. So 3 o'clock kick-off. 2:30 I'll go live, go for the teams, this and the other. Sorry, as we always do. Then Sunday, we've got the Women's FA Cup 4th round against Chelsea. In the fourth round, but we've got Chelsea. Makes sense. Completely random, isn't it? But yeah, we've got Chelsea away, Emma Hayes and the gang. That's going to be interesting. Just after the international break, what could go wrong? But we'll see how that plays out. Hopefully we do cause an upset and knock them out, because Chelsea will be hot favourite because they are at home on Sunday. But yeah. And then we've got the League Cup final. About an hour later. We'll cover that as well as a neutral. Newcastle versus Man United. Newcastle could end, 50-odd years of trophyless pain.
Yeah.
Whether United did maybe 6 years. It's going to be very interesting. It could be Caris. The former Liverpool goalkeeper, could be his redemption arc as well there, because he has to play because no Pope. The Bafka Cup tied because he was on United end of the season. He played in this competition already. And then trying to think, and I'll be back on the Monday for the podcast in reaction to Leicester and how that plays out, basically, where we are either first or second in the league. And then we'll start playing out how we set up for our Europa League podcast and all that as well with James and all that. But until then, guys, take care of yourselves, and as always, up the Arsenal. Come on.
Up the Arsenal.